Hello and welcome into Off Topic. I'm Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare. Today to talk about something that I've been thinking about since yesterday's strategy show. And no, it is not Friday. It is Tuesday. This time of year gets a little wonky with scheduling other people who have like real jobs and lives. And so that's why there's no limited time only today. But I did want to talk about this and I didn't want to wait until Friday. And so here we are. Thanks everyone coming in. Quinny, what's up? Thanks for coming in. Andy said he decides because he owns his game. Ben Johnson on the podium as well. um, Ricardo's here. Mike Baston, Micah Pompey. What's up, everyone? Steven, appreciate all you guys coming in. We'll get into this. Everybody's getting excited about their loot or reward boxes. Excuse me. But yeah, there are a few things I want to talk about today. And so it feels a little weird saying, hey, this is off topic, but here's a very specific topic I want to talk about. But I do want to talk about it. Mickey Fu is not sports movie time. It's not. I will have somebody else. That'll be a discussion with someone else. But this did actually come from yesterday's strategy show. Less of our talk about thresholds and more about the rewards. And from what I've seen, people who are opening rewards, because they came out 31 minutes ago, there are not that many people who are fired up about their rewards. Speaking of which, hey, Haber, what's up? So this is not actually going to be about rewards because, well, I mean, we'll get there. Or maybe we should start there and then I'll go off topic to what I actually want to talk about. But yeah, the rewards is a weird thing because it feels like every so often we go through this spell where everyone thinks their rewards suck. And we go through this period of they have to fix the rewards. How is this guy in tier 2 or whatever? I had that a few weeks ago with a tier 3 I won in something. All-Star Rare Plus. I won a tier 3 and it was some guy who doesn't start for Yupin. And it's like, how does that happen? How is that guy, Alfred Finn Bogason, get into the tier 3 pool? And I'm going to try to pull this up here. And what I realized was like, so I decided I didn't want to like get overly upset about it because I just had never heard of the guy. Let me see if I can, here it is. So this is the guy, Alfred Finn Bogason. And I was like, oh, he's Icelandic. Let me hit up the Sorare Scandinavia Discord. And everyone was like, I've never heard of this guy. And I was like, oh, great. Like these are his scores. I guess maybe people liked him in this range here, and so his price went up a little bit. I don't really know. It was like incredibly. He's 34, and it was just like it was a bummer. It didn't really feel good. And as you can see, he's now a low tier 4, and I want him as kind of a medium tier 3. So it was like it wasn't great, but anyway. And so the Haber said, I'm realizing I'm not getting excited for rewards despite being on a rewards hater has made me real depressed. Oh, rewards heater. Excuse me. That was kind of a accidental pun or accidental truth. Anyway, so the Rui said rewards suck. Let's play for money. Well, you can play for money. Mark Lele, what's up? Good to see you as well. Hope you have a great Christmas. So the Quinny says, hold him. I am holding him because he's worthless. So nobody wants to. Malky said he was amazing at Heerenveen. I mean, great, but he's not there now, and he sucks now. But anyway, apologies to him. I'm sure he's a very nice guy. Anyway, so we go through these periods where we get bad rewards, and then they fix them, and it just feels like sometimes they're like, okay, we're going to do good rewards for a little bit, and then we do bad ones for a little bit, and who knows? But it feels like we're in this period right now where people are getting poor rewards, including I don't want to call anyone out in terms of what they won and whether they were happy or not. I will say that somebody pointed this out in a Discord I'm in, that Sorare will now show us, I don't even know how they got here, play rewards. You can see what people won after they've claimed them. So this is a nice, oh, like Doku was is it just the podiums? Oh, maybe it's just podium. But Doku was first for U23 Rare, Verts and U23 Rare Plus. Thought I would still missing that one up. And so, wow, Insignia third in champion. Oh, man. Sorry, I'm just looking at these now. Kane in both Champion Europe Rare and Rare Plus. Veerman first in Challenger. I saw somebody got a Veerman from their reward box, which is very unexpected. I got this guy, Chidozie Ogbene from Luton. I finished like 4,600 and something or others. But anyway, so we're in this period right now where people are not super excited about rewards. And part of it is that card prices are down so much that Haber said he entered the wrong Cap 270 and didn't get a reward box. Sorry, man. It is weird that they don't put them together, that they like separated them. But anyway, so card prices are down, so people aren't excited when they win a prize and they're like, oh, this is worth $3 and it's like a tier 2 rare. That's being dramatic, but it's not that bad, trust me. But the addition of DNP rewards seems to have messed everything up. And so the difficulty is that people are not as excited for reward day, which is supposed to be like the most fun part of the game. It's like winning rewards. And that was a lot of the conversation yesterday, was just that it's really reward valuation seems to be the problem, or excuse me, card valuation seems to be the problem, particularly with DNP cards, because basically stale price data is influencing what tier cards should go in, and that therefore pushes other cards either up or down that shouldn't be in a tier, and hopefully they can fix that. And one of the things that we said yesterday was, I don't know the exact line, but it was something like they don't understand their game. And I've been thinking about that a lot today, and I wasn't going to do an off topic today, but then I kept thinking about it and I was like, I haven't thought this all the way through. And so what better place to think it through than out loud in front of other people who might be able to help me figure out what I'm trying to think. But basically what the question is that like, what did I call this? Who decides what this game actually is? And it made me think back the fact that Sorare have pretty much always, I don't even want to call it marketed because we know that the marketing efforts are not that great, but they've always kind of billed themselves as, we're a fantasy platform that uses player cards that are NFTs in our game. And you can buy these NFTs to play our game for free. And when there was a huge bull run in NFT, crypto and then NFTs, and there was a huge pushback from the community that Sorare didn't take advantage of the fact that they were NFTs and trying to jump in on the FOMO that people were having of not owning like apes and rocks and dinosaur bones or whatever the hell people were buying NFTs of. And I think a lot of that was because they kept saying we're a fantasy at the time, like we're a fantasy football platform. And so that hasn't really changed. And when the first Erling Haaland unique was auctioned, and it went for 265 ETH, it was like 600 and something $1,000. Like it was a lot of money. We did an auction watch. It was fun as hell. And there was nothing from Sorare publicly, like lauding the fact that they sold a single NFT for $650,000. I think that's how much it was. I know it was 265 and change ETH. And so there was kind of this, wait, why aren't we going after these NFT crypto bros? Yeah, 265.1, 678,000, excuse me. And so the thought was like, why aren't they going after these crypto bros who can come in and like buy all our NFTs and we'll get rich? And I think fundamentally, they didn't publicly say this, but I think it was like, hey, that's just not what we do. We're not just like this random NFT company that is minting cards so that people can buy them and sell them for 3x because they're the next people who show up. And a lot of people compared it to Top Shot because in Top Shot, you open $100 pack, you get a single moment, and you sold it for 10 grand, and you were like, yeah, this Top Shot's awesome. And so we really never got into that. And at its core, it was a fantasy game with NFTs. And lately, they have been talking about prices a little more, which seems weird on its surface because their prices are down. And so it's like, do you really want to talk about the fact that you sold an Erling Haaland unique card for, what was the last one? $87,000 when the one before that was $100,000 more. And so I actually don't even know what to think about that part of it. But I do think that when there was an NFT boom and the prices of our cards exploded, and granted now, this didn't happen to everybody. Like you had to be on the platform by then. I happened to be there. So I benefited from that. I did not sell a Joao Felix for 15 ETH or whatever it ended up going for. Certainly wasn't 100 ETH. But if you were a fantasy platform where buying NFTs allowed you to play, and the cheapest cards that you were selling were like $300 and $400, your goal of being this mass market product could not be realized. And because of that, they came out with the limited cards in order to kind of like allow for a cheaper entry point. Like fundamentally, that was the reason that they realized if they had a significant user spike using only rare cards, meaning if rare cards were the least scarce card, the game just can't scale. There's just not enough cards for the potential users. And if the buy-in price literally for like one lineup is $2,000, how many people are going to be able to buy in? So limited cards came and those prices were really high. And it was clear, let me rephrase. It should have been clear. And plenty of people said this at the time, that there are going to be a ton of limited cards out there. At some point, there will be 10,000. Well, the example at the time was Mbappe's because they still had the PSG license, but like there are going to be 10,000 Kimmichs at some point. And the hope was we'll have more users, and so prices won't decline as much. And there were some sensible people who were like, hey, if the users don't keep growing as fast as they are, there's going to be more supply than demand. And when that happens, card prices go down. Now, it seems like we've like greatly accelerated that over the last year, 18 months. I'll even say 18 months because I think it was before the global club. Excuse me. So we got to a point where card prices are going down and we're all complaining about that. And if you go back to Sorare fundamentally thinking we are a fantasy game where you buy cards to play, at some point you need card prices at an entry level price that anyone would feel comfortable buying in. And for those of us who were already, I didn't want to use the word invested because it's not really that, but for those of us who were already invested, that's a real kick in the stomach of, we know that you bought that card for $300, $150, whatever, but it needs to be cheaper for more people to play. And If that's the period we're in right now. And it really doesn't feel good to have things that used to be valuable that are not anymore. And part of that is not just the cards that we own, but also the cards that we can win. And so when you were playing this game and you were like, I can win a $20,000 rare card, it's very different when it's I can win a $2,000 rare card. And so I feel like either that part is missing, that Sorare don't understand that this significant drop in price in value means that what they're rewarding us is less valuable, and therefore it makes it harder for us to want to buy into it. Or it's our fault for pushing prices up and seeing them decline when the users didn't keep growing. And so the way that I was looking at what we were saying yesterday, that they don't understand the game, maybe they don't understand how we all play the game, but maybe the game is actually working how they think it should work. And a reminder, it's their game. They came up with it. They set the rules. Like, we don't. We play the game. And so anything that their opinion of what the game should look like trumps ours, because they're the ones with the keys. And so that's what I've been thinking about for the last day, of maybe we're not playing the same game that they built. We've taken advantage of the rules, basically. And like, fundamentally, and there are a ton of comments and I'm going to get to them. I just need to get this one last thought out. So, because somebody said they agree with Nanzo, and now I have to go back and see what Nanzo said. Probably about how good looking I am. But anyway, so it's almost like they came out and were like, here's this game. And they had some users come in and they were like, this game is really cool. And Sorare is like, buy these cards. So you give us money to buy these cards, and then you play this game and you can win things like more cards or some ETH. And that's all they think. They're like, okay, so our users are going to go buy these cards, and then we'll give them rewards based on how well their cards do. That's it. That's the game. But we all know that's not really the game, or that's not only the game. Because we can own our game, you can do whatever you want with your cards, which really just means selling them or trading them. And the idea is, I'm going to have this card that I paid $10 for, and maybe I can sell it for 15. And once that becomes a regular part of the game, now we're diverging from what Sorare think is the game. And again, I don't want to speak for Sorare. I haven't talked to anyone that this is what they think. But like, fundamentally, it feels like that's the case. That they said, this is the game, buy cards from us, win cards and cash, or ETH really at the time. And we said, I'm going to buy cards from you, and then I'm going to sell them to that guy for more. And then I can buy more cards. Or I can win cards, but I'm going to sell them to that guy. And the more that we think about buying and selling, the more it's all about card values, which is now still going further away from what Sorare think, which is, no, you just want to, you buy our cards and you play the game and then you win. You win rewards. Yay. And then maybe 3 of your cards can be traded for one of that guy's cards. And then, yeah, everybody's happy. And it's like the card values don't matter to them. That's how it feels, right? Like, it feels like Sorare really don't care what cards are worth, as long as like we buy cards to play their game. You buy golf clubs to play golf. You're not making any money off that. And so it just feels like the more that we focus on card values, the further we are from understanding what Sorare think the game is. And obviously that's a gigantic problem for both sides, because as values go down, the less we want to buy these cards to win more cards, or more, or whatever. And so, That's what I've been thinking about for the last day. All right, let me get back to the chat because it has been bumping here. So thank you everybody for coming in. And I'm waiting for somebody to say I said something wrong right at the beginning. Mike Basson's asking why isn't Zura here? So Germ said maybe playing their game will help them learn. So I think it's difficult for them to see what we see, specifically because they work for Sorare. Like they can play the game, that's fine. Like, I don't even know who the users are. Like, do they even enter the threshold, the cap 240? Like, if you worked for them, would you want other people like taking money from your company or, winning? Like, it's almost like they know too much, or they've been sold this idea of this is just a fantasy game and just go buy your cards, which are collectibles and you own forever, but like play the game. And like, I don't know if the people who work there are like flipping cards, or if they fundamentally just like sell a card in order to buy one, or how they do. Like, I don't know. I don't know who it is. All right, let's catch up. Mike Basson, could the current problem linked to the fact that some of the initial investors are probably at the stage in their contracts where they're due some returns? I don't think so. I don't think it's anything like that. Like, I think investors always want companies to make money, obviously, but there have been so many Web3, I mean, not even Web3, there have been so many companies that have gone bankrupt in the last year that like the fact that Sorare is still around is a positive for investors. And so I don't think that they're sitting there like, I'm ready for my dividend. Like, I just don't think it's there. Ben Johnson, I honestly think that the game has too many people who identify as investors instead of players of this fun fantasy game. So Ben, I agree with you. And I don't think Sorare ever, that's dramatic. I don't think Sorare really thought they were an investment platform. Like it was, and I've said this in other places, and people have said this in the chat before. Like, Sorare is a place you can make money. It's not a place you will make money. And everyone joins thinking they can make money. And obviously it can't happen. We can't all make a ton of money. Like, eventually we run out of people to sell cards to. And so, but I do think that the game would benefit if there were more people who were coming in to play a fantasy game. And like, that's it. Buy these cards, play this fantasy game. You can turn these cards into other cards. You can win cards, but like, you're here to play a fantasy sports game. And the problem is they have so many users who have made money on this platform that's just we think that should continue forever. Marco Sullivan said, you can't change the motto from a collectible game into a fun fantasy game when a huge amount of early players were sold on this being a collectible NFT game. So I don't think that's any different. Like, it was sold as a fantasy game that you play with collectibles. And I think they still think that. And generally, collectibles take a long time to be valuable. Collectibles are not collectible early. It's when they're old as shit. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh, that's cool. I'd like that. And so we know that these things aren't collectibles yet. Like, the collection game is so we're better at the fantasy game. Like, fundamentally, like, they're like collect to help you in the game. Mark said they went after crypto people initially to hype it up as an NFT project, and that caused the initial spike in prices. So I think that's right. But I also think that they went after crypto people because they were comfortable with NFTs. And it was easier to convert people who were into and familiar with NFTs than it was getting fantasy sports players to get into NFTs, if that makes sense. And so So they had to do that. Like there's no way the game exists today if they went to a bunch of fantasy sports players and they're like, hey, buy these NFTs. And people are like, I don't even, what is an NFT? Whereas if you went to the crypto people, they basically tried to find the crypto people who are interested in sports, football, really just football. And then it was like, oh, fantasy football. And then it just kind of goes from, you have to start somewhere. And I think that was right. I think they were right to go after saying they went after crypto people also sounds so weird. Like they went to the crypto people they went to the people who were knowledgeable about what NFTs were. And they said, would you like to buy these with football players on them and play this game? And enough people said yes. What do you got, ZM Star? Sorare wants to be a rational market fantasy game with an irrational user base. Yeah. Nanzo said it's less about understanding the game and more about them not understanding the psychographics of their customers. So, yes, I agree with you there. But maybe I was going to say maybe we're playing the game wrong, but that's not really what I mean. I think the game got away from them, or the platform got away from them, and that things that they didn't think were important became super important to their users. And I think that instead of adjusting the game for their users, they maintained what their core strategy was the entire time. And we did not adjust to that. And I don't think that's right or wrong. And I don't know which one has to move, but it can't continue that way. Like you can't have a business that's like, this is what we are. And all of their customers are like, no, actually, you're this. And it just stays that way. At some point, one of them has to change. And obviously, there are many more of us than there are them. So we're like, well, if we walk away, the business is gone. So they should obviously change it to benefit us. But of course, benefiting us too much means the business can't exist. But I do feel like there's been this over the years, it's not new, but over the years, there's basically been a fraction. Fraction? That's not the word I'm looking for. Faction? Split? Anyway, there's basically been a split between what Sorare think they are and what the users think Sorare is. And that gap is dangerous because it now leads to them making changes in the game that the users don't necessarily want. And sometimes the changes are done so that they think it's to get more users. The problem is that it's at the expense of their existing users, who are probably a great pathway to new users if they saw more eye to eye. I'm so far behind in the chat. I'm sorry, guys. FF Thinker, Sean Thorpe. If there was another boom, I would be selling up and waiting for the downturn. For me, it's a fantasy game where you want to test yourself versus either other users or the game. There are so many people I know that have said that they would sell up if there was another boom. Ben said, if we have 1 million users enter All-Star Limited, how many rewards will be given? A score of 500 will be a tier 4. So I don't even think it's worth thinking about that now. And I've said that for a while, that projecting Sorare out 4 or 5 years and thinking that what we have today will be what we have in 4 or 5 years is just not healthy. Like it's not healthy because no business is exactly the same unless you're like a pizza place and you just like, oh, we just keep making pizza. But we've obviously seen them do more, like they're giving out more rewards than just cards. Like the issue has always been at some point, you're not going to have enough cards to reward. And so what we've seen recently, including today with reward boxes, they are giving us things that are not just cards. Ironically, I won a card in my reward box this week, but they're moving in a direction where they're rewarding different things. And so I actually don't think rewards will be a problem. I don't really mean that. Card rewards, like running out of card rewards, I don't think will be a problem. Okay. Mike, so are you thinking that they do not want new customers anymore because lower valuations do not appeal to high rollers? So that is another, man, there's like 75 things that we can go through today. I think what we should see is a significantly bigger gap between limited and super rare, maybe rares even. Like just the way that we have 10 times more limiteds than rares, we're going to just see so many more limited cards than rares. And I think what we're effectively going to see is that limited turns into what I think that they have always envisioned, that it's a low cost entry point into the game. And once you're ready to move up, you can get the more expensive rares and super rares. And we all say, well, rare and super rare prices are low also, which they are right now. But if there is a boom of users, I realize it's a humongous if, but if you have a bunch of people going into limited, it's like eventually they'll move up and we'll see. They don't all move up. Oh, literally 13 minutes behind on the comments. I apologize, guys. Mark says Sorare's direction has changed after they hired a bunch of people who never understood the original user base or the original selling point of Sorare. I think that they grew. So they obviously grew quickly because they raised all this money. But part of the reason they raised all this money is because they were like, we're going to grow. And I agree that some of the hires just didn't work out. And it was almost like they hired a bunch of people who were used to being in traditional fantasy sports companies. And Sorare has always marketed themselves as anything but. They're not just like your traditional fantasy sports company. And I think that there was a kind of a loss of direction. And I think they're fixing it, maybe. Steven said, good thing about the boxes, you can give more rewards while give the same amount of cards. Exactly. Haber said, in all my time on Sorare, I've never seen them promote rare, super rare, or unique. It's always limited, always promoting the lowest entry. Rich people exist too, Sorare. I think that's right. And I think the reason they do that is because they feel they're in a user acquisition period. And if that's the case, there are more people who can buy a $20 card than a $2,000 card. And so I think that's why. They focus on limiteds. And frankly, I don't know how many people they want coming into the game and immediately going to super rare and unique. Like they want people to learn the game so that they're not buying $1,000 shit cards and then they're dead. Not the card value. Marco Sullivan said, focusing on user growth instead of focusing on revenue, hence the introduction of limited scarcity and a huge supply limit in NBA and MLB. I mean, everything that we keep saying is they need more users. So I think it's really hypocritical to be like, no, you're focusing way too much on getting new people. Like that's what we need. We need more people to play. Because the more people that play, the more we can dump our cards off of. Just kidding. Steven said, Sorare want a larger user base, it seems, instead of more risky high rollers. I mean, they obviously want them. Stevens, yeah, they're using Amazon like any other startup, cheap prices to attract the masses. I don't think it's that. Well, I mean, maybe it is. Sean said, as a relative newbie, I never would have joined Sorare on the old prices. So it was either stick with the old format or mass market in comparison with old users. Exactly. The number of people and like my friends who are like, hey, like they know I work for Sorare Data and like, oh, what's the deal with the cards? How much does it cost to play? And like before limiteds, I was like, yeah, it's like $2,000, but you have to buy like some dudes from the K League and the J League and Liga MX. And they were like, well, why? And I was like, well, because like Mbappe is $25,000. Like, how many people are you selling on the game like that? Daniel said, is anyone having fun? Personally, I'm having a great time, but it doesn't seem like that's a common opinion now. Daniel, you do you, man. Haber said, I think you're being too kind or insulting. What did I say? 20 minutes ago. Andy said he's never seen a more depressed user base. I think a lot of people never had fun with Sorare, but they had fun making money. Great line. Great line. Server said it's hard to really know what they want. We have imperfect information. For example, they may care about card prices because they're paying out high amounts of cash, or maybe they have plenty of cash. I think that they care about selling cards for a lot of money. It's almost like they really care that auction values are really high. Well, that's actually, I don't know. Fundamentally, we don't know what they think is a priority. And so, but card values hit this is actually going to sound very strange. Like, card values hit us more than it hits them, which is ironic since that's their only revenue stream. Like, that's how they pay bills is selling cards. But they can always just sell more cards, right? Like, they can increase the auction rate and just sell more. And there are enough people to buy these cards, and they may not sell for a high price, but if you're doing enough of them, back to the Amazon thing. Whereas, like, we don't have endless cards to sell. We have what we have. And if they used to be worth 1,000 and now they're worth 300, like, that's not so fun. Okay. So Haber said, Sorare should know what their platform is. They simply cannot not know. To not know at this point is to sign the platform to death, which is worrying. But like, Haber, so that's my whole thing right now, is I think they know what they think their platform is. And they know they've built the platform to what they think it should be. And we have changed the platform. We have changed what we think the platform should be because of what previously happened. That a lot of us made money with these cards. And so we thought that was the game. And we thought that was the platform. Buy these NFTs, sell them for more. And they have always maintained that they're a fantasy platform with collectibles. And so, again, they know. It's like they know what it should be, and we know what it is, or it's vice versa. But we both can't be right, because it seems to be like it's counter. Nikki said the NFT boom was in 2021 was otherworldly. The amount of $10,000 Stickmen collections selling, 10 Stickmen collections selling for $1,000 of money was the most unsustainable in the world. A lot of people from that world went into Sorare. So that is absolutely true. And what's funny is that Sorare users at the time were pissed that Sorare didn't do more to try to get those thousands of dollars. And I think it was one of those that we were more sustainable not having those people. But it was really frustrating to be like, hey, I have this really cool collectible card, but somebody's paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for a picture of a rock. Why are my cards not worth what the rock was worth? Or the, drawing of a rock. Mark says, does anyone here pitch Sorare to their friends? I don't, because of the falling prices, and I don't want them to be angry or sad with me if the cards they bought become less valuable in a few weeks' time. A follow-up question, what's the best way to pitch Sorare to our friends and family? Mark Layla just kills it with the questions, I have to say. But so, all right, I'm going to go through all of the questions because I keep falling behind. But somebody remind me about Mark's question. All right, let's see. Need slow-mo in the chat. Seriously, Mike. Okay. Bitcoin. Haber, something Sorare should have done from the start of the platform is require X amount of new cards in every competition. There's no reason to buy cards if you have a built your gallery now. So yes, but I think that's like a total hindsight suggestion. Like they can't do anything about that now. And I don't think they obviously foresaw that. And it's tough to foresee that when you have so many users coming in, and it's like, it's not a problem because you're just selling cards anyway. All right, sorry. Somebody was apologizing and I don't know why. Sir, I'm still undecided whether or not that works for Unique. Only 9 likes, guys? Come on. You don't have to like Sorare, just like the video. Mike said, Grenoble third keeper is my tier 3 reward. Been on the bench once this season. Seen the bench once this season, but he's U23 until next July. So I have this theory that when they added DNP rewards, except this started earlier, they went back to the old system. And so tier 3 is like the last. Okay. Blue Tomato said they can't sell unlimited cards, at least if they stick to the scarcities, which is true. Mark said, is that not their entire business model? Card prices, if their card prices go to 0, then they raise 0 from the auctions. Yes. But it's more like, don't think of it as going to 0. Just thinking of that if it's less. If they sell 2 cards for $10 or 1 card for $10, the $10 is the important thing. Okay, let me go back to Mark's question. I caught up on the chat. I skipped a bunch though. So, do they care about falling prices? Oh, selling it to your friends. So this is why I think this is where the difference that I think comes in. Another thing that I've been thinking about. So Surface said, we're just speculating they didn't foresee decreased need for new purchasing, but we don't know. There was a lot of talk about platform sustainability in year 1, specifically that issue. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. I wasn't around back. So I think that that the selling point of Sorare goes back to how Sorare think we play the game. And that's you buy cards and you use those cards to play in a fantasy game. And so you know how much you paid for your cards, but it almost doesn't matter. So we know what we paid for our cards, and that's basically like an entry to the platform. And we know that play fantasy football for free. No cost to enter. But so if fundamentally the Sorare is a place where you buy cards to play a fantasy game. Once you buy the cards, the value of those cards does not matter. Now, I know it matters. Just bear with me here. So you use those cards in a fantasy game to win more cards. And you can sell those cards. And that's how you realize your return. The problem is if you are used to seeing your card values go up, meaning not the cards you've won, but the cards you bought. Now it's a different game. And it almost feels like that's the step they've completely missed. That I don't know that they think this way. I want to be very clear about that. I have not talked to anyone in Sorare about that. I am dangerously speculating here. But we're all friends here. Nobody's paying attention. But if fundamentally you don't resell the cards you bought, then how you perform in the fantasy game is the most important thing in terms of making some sort of return on your investment. And if that's the case, then your current card values don't matter. They shouldn't matter. Because you bought the cards and the value of what you won matters because you can sell that. But like and I realize how dumb that sounds. That like only rewarded card values matter. But I kind of think that's what they must believe. That your success in the game is not how much you sold the cards you bought for. How much you sold the cards you bought, excuse me. But how much you sold your rewards for. So if you bought $100 worth of cards and you won a $20 reward, now $20 is your return. Not $20 and whatever your $100 starting point was worth now. And so if that's the view internally, that, hey, buy these cards, play this game, and earn from your cards, which is not reselling your cards, but winning cards, you start to think like, oh, maybe what they're doing kind of makes sense. That's throw that out. Not that it makes sense, but you can sort of understand why there's not an emphasis from the company to make sure values are so high. And so, you can use the cards you bought and turn them into other better cards or whatever, but it's fundamentally, I think the game that was built is different than the game that we play. And we really need to figure out a way to get those two things closer. Either they need to recognize it and change things so that they understand what Sorare managers really want. And if you're here and you're like, what we all want is just ROI, I just want to make as much money as possible, then you got to fuck off somewhere else. Like, this is not the place to come to like make boatloads of money. You would have made more money elsewhere during the NFT boom than you would have Sorare. Like that, again, that was like a fundamental complaint. People got rich playing Sorare and they were like, we should be so much richer. Apes are selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they were like, but these Sorare cards are only worth like thousands or tens of thousands. Like, people legitimately complained about it. Like, Sorare has never been, from the NFT standpoint, like the best place to go if all you wanted to do was make money. And so they built this like really engaging fantasy game, and way too many people were like, yeah, it's a fun game and all, but like, I just care what I win. I just care how much money I make. And that's not the platform Sorare tried to make. And it's not what, and again, that doesn't apply to everyone, but it does apply to a lot of people who joined when I joined, and who have galleries like me that are worth more than we put in because we happen to join early. And it just feels like everything they've done since then runs counter to the success that we've had. And that obviously angers those people, because it's like, whoa. I've played your game this whole time and I make this much money, and like, this works. And they're like, yeah, but this isn't what we built. This is not like, we're going to do this change because we think more people will like it. And we're like, no, pay me more. Surface thinks thresholds are unsustainably good. Daniel Cooper said, I think it's pretty good in the rest of the game. Obviously, actual returns depend on if you're good at the game or not, but the percentage ROI of my gallery value each week is great. I should specify that I'm a bang average manager. Mickey said, it's basically DFS and or betting, pay an entry fee to try winning money back. So nobody yes. That was always the thing that bothered me so much, was how they build themselves as this free-to-play fantasy game that you fundamentally could not play without buying something, aside from the common game. But they always said that, like, free to enter. And you're like, I would like to enter. And they were like, great, buy those cards and you can enter. And I was like, oh, I thought it was free. Like, yeah, the game is free, but you got to buy your NFTs. Nanzo said, it's not about getting rich, but people do play Sorare to win something worth winning. It's similar to poker. As much as he loves the game, Phil Ivey isn't spending 8 hours at the table to win $5. I was exaggerating. I agree. I completely agree with you. It's not about getting rich, even though everyone who plays dreams of getting rich on Sorare and having a gallery that just prints each week and you can just get your rewards, sell them off for a couple $1,000 every game week. And people, people want that. And so that's what people like. Yeah, it's not about getting rich, but it's about making money, having more money, and being able to make money on Sorare so you can go out to nice dinner, or go on a nice holiday, or doing something. But it's fundamentally about making money, and that's not. I don't think that's the game Sorare thought they made, or thinks they're making right now. And yeah, that's the problem. Andy Black, as gross as this sounds, this should be good. I'm down for an additional percentage market correction. That means prices, that means a dip, if anybody is looking for what market correction means. If it means we finally hit a point where prices are stable and performance on the field / speculation are what affects values. So I would love to do that without the dip, without the market correction. I think without, but yeah, obviously, I don't know. Prices seem pretty low right now. Like prices seem attractive for new users to come in, and you're like, yeah, you have to buy cards. And they're like, how much are the cards? And you're like, yeah, you could probably get like enough cards for like $50. And for a lot of people, that's pretty good. And yeah. Mickey said, if prices had been like this the entire time, how would it have been? Would people have been happy? So it's funny you say that. And I feel bad if he said this in private, and I can't remember if it was or not, but I'm going to blow him up anyway. So I was talking to PSU fans too about this. And he said, if he was to join now, like where the prices were, he would have been perfectly cool coming in and buying cards and like playing the whole game. And he would have been happy about it. But obviously, because he joined previously, he was also pre-boom. So he has seen his gallery value significantly rise, increase, and has obviously seen it tumble. And it's kind of obviously it's a mental thing that if you're used to winning $10,000 worth of rewards in a month, and now it's 1,000, like that's a big difference. And that's a lot of the people who are upset now are those people who have probably made boatloads off their rewards, but the value of their cards is down. And so that just doesn't feel good. Mark said, can Sorare be a game which people seek out to make a good ROI? We have scarcity built into the system. Only so many people would be able to play Sorare with the current scarcities if it was mainstream. I'm not sure what you're trying to say. I feel like that's two different points. But I think realistically, we all want to be in a position where there are too many users, because that means everyone right now probably did really well. Server said, I'd be fine with a dip as well if it meant price stability. I'm just worried that more of a dip really affects their cash flow, which puts thresholds at risk, in my opinion. But again, we don't really know. So and Mark said, if enough people want to compete for the top cash prizes and there's too much demand and not enough supply, should that not push up valuations, making it easier to make good ROI? Yeah. I mean, we all know more users means like that's the key. And I think Sorare are trying to figure out like what do we do if we don't get a huge increase in users. And so yeah, I mean that's what it comes to. But fundamentally, what I keep thinking is, are we playing a game that's different than what Sorare are trying to build? And if the answer is yes, then they're going to continue to do things that run counter to what we want. Because effectively, what we want is to get more money from them. And as a business, they would like to keep more of that money, or at least make more. And so it's more like, do they not understand their own game? Or do we not understand that we're playing the wrong game? That they built something and we made it something else, but they have no interest in making it better in our view, as opposed to just fundamentally what they thought they were building. Like, you could make the argument that their goal has never changed from the day they launched. That we want to be this global fantasy, this global sports brand with a fantasy game and with collectibles and all this stuff. And that really hasn't changed. Um, sorry, I'm just texting. The Good Place said Amazon was conceived only as a bookstore. If they are building something we think is different, I think they need to pivot. And Malky said, should they remove leagues? Not sure why they added second division in the first place. Some people would be annoyed, of course, and they have contracts, but that would be a way to reduce supply. I don't think a supply reduction is necessary. And frankly, I think if they could, they would get every league in the world. Like, that's kind of the game that, like, they made a global fantasy football game. And so they want to be able to have options in any possible place. And that's kind of the point. I mean, literally, when you go to Sorare, it says global fantasy football. And how many teams are we up to now? 373 licensed teams. They had the Russian Premier League too. I wonder if those listed here. No. Like they could have had three. I don't know how many there. 20, close to 400. And so I think the combination of falling prices, falling values, and rewards that people are upset about is what's creating this like really negative sentiment right now. And they can definitely do something in the short term to fix the rewards. And yeah. Arush said, do we need the Saudi league for the potential of Saudi whales? Absolutely not. Nope, I don't think it makes any sense whatsoever. I do love all the speculation by everybody about whether Sorare would even be allowed in Saudi Arabia. But no, I don't think so. I would guess most people in Saudi Arabia don't even, not that they don't watch the Saudi league, but they can, if they really wanted to play Sorare right now with the teams, with like the clubs that are known worldwide, like they could play right now if they wanted to. Daniel said, if we tried not moaning and putting everyone in a bad mood about the game? That's a good point. Dario said they need to improve their communication so they can make themselves known in the world, because at the moment it's a niche game. The problem is that like fantasy sports are niche. Sorry. It's a very niche thing, and it always will be. Like football is not niche, but fantasy football is, and it always will be. Like fantasy basketball is very niche versus just basketball. And so I think getting it more known is always a plus. But Nanzo said, I think card issuance has been well managed overall by Sorare. Yeah, I agree. Isn't fantasy sports big in the US? It is, but this is where it's big is the problem. Like fantasy sports is not big basically anywhere else. And fantasy sports themselves are, I don't think, are growing as quickly in the US anymore because sports betting is now becoming more legal. And fantasy sports was kind of your, not, I don't want to call it a gateway to sports betting because sports betting has been illegal, but it's legal in a lot of places now, including where I live. And so, like, fantasy sports will not continue to grow like it has in the last 30 years in the US. Jeremy said we need the A League. I mean, that's 3 people I know who want the A League. 4 if you include Trip and B. Blue Tomato said fantasy sports is better than betting. I mean, it is now. It's more popular, but I think those will converge very soon. Yeah, I just think fundamentally it's. I keep going back to what I said kind of at the beginning. Javik said sports betting can be a gateway to fantasy sports too. And the good places also went for the A League. I don't think it will be. Many more people will go fantasy sports to betting than the other way around. Jeremy said the 2026 US World Cup might be a big turn for fantasy football. It might. I don't know. Mark, back to your topic. Hell yeah. Get back on topic here on off topic. Is the game not ultimately dedicated by us, the users, and whatever brings us joy? Some of us are SO5 mad. Some are collectors only, and some are traders only. Some are all 3. So I don't know. I don't know if Sorare have a responsibility to change the core of their company because their users play it differently. Like, I'm trying to think of like an absurd analogy, but like, I just don't think it makes sense. Anything I come up with. I was gonna say, like, if everybody started playing football, but if you hit the post, it was a goal. Like, would FIFA be like, okay, let's do that? Like, no. Just because we play it differently doesn't mean it's the way that they want it. Soccer Silverback said, why don't they get investment through companies to sponsor certain divisions? The Fanatics 240 League, for example, or any company they feel has a great marketing budget. So I'm glad you brought that up because I was talking about that earlier today. Sponsorships like that, Sorare is not big enough. And the fact that they're like a global audience makes it tougher to find, like, there are only not a handful, but there aren't that many companies that can go to a brand and say, we want to market ourselves by sponsoring whatever it is to a global audience and pay lots of money for an audience that really isn't that big. Like, I think we kind of forget that it's just Sorare's not that big. Like, they're not that many users. Like, cap 240 limited, I think, is still the highest, the most entered competition. And there are 27,000 people who have entered it. 27,000. What company is going to give Sorare tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to get 27,000 people who might look at it? Yeah, Blue Tomato said it because nobody sponsors for $100,000 for 5,000 people who play. And Like that's the problem. And Bluetooth again, sponsoring is very regional. And so a good place said, I feel like gambling companies would sponsor because users they want are similar users on here. I don't think Sorare want to go down that route either. But again, you're what gambling company, and there are some, so I'll say that. The gambling, like what gambling company is going to spend money to advertise on a global game where like maybe 20% of the users could even use their product? Like so we're not even remotely close to being big enough for that. And that's the problem. Yeah, Blue Tomato said that's why there are LED adverts in the stadium, because they can change the ad depending on the country where they stream the game. Exactly. Jeremy said football stats or scouting companies could find their market here, but yeah, it would not bring in big money. Like who? Opta? Daniel Cooper said Nellis should sponsor them. That's a good idea. Yeah. Mark said, do you remember the idea which was pitched in the past where it would essentially grow to become a social media site for passionate sports fans? I assume that was one of the ideas. And like Discord, I mean, just think of the communities that have propped up that like any of us are in, like micro communities, these Discord groups that we like. It is a very social thing in the fact that we don't actually leave our house to do it. But Surface said, Sorare is big, complex, and always evolving. Regardless of where it's been and where it ends up, it's been a fascinating and fun ride that has changed my life, and I'm glad I got to be a part of it. Same. I mean, I literally have like a full-time job around it. Sorare survival is very important to me, which is probably why people think I say things that I do. Yeah. So I don't know where that leaves us. Other than I do think that Sorare need to get a better idea of how users are not like using their game, but I think there's almost a lack of recognition that what they built is, or what they thought they built is what they built. And we need to bridge that gap so that they understand what users are coming from, and that the winning on the game should be fun. And if it's fun, we'll spend money to make it, to like continue that fun. But once it goes stale, it makes it really hard to want to do anything on the platform. And that's what, like, obviously what they don't want. And the number of people I saw within 30 minutes of rewards coming out that were just like super disappointed, except the one guy that won a Veerman limited in the loot or reward box, excuse me. That's like, address that. Off topic, did you enjoy France? I loved it. Yeah, France was great. I have no drinking stories. No, I'm not a big drinker myself. People I work with aren't. But yeah, it was fun to be with all the people that I work with every day, since I obviously don't see anybody that I work with. But yeah, I am extremely fortunate to work for Sorare Data and work specifically with the people that I do. And it was great. It was a great trip. And I'm happy to be home as well. Mark said, did you get to go to a football game in France? Yes, we saw Lyon Toll House. Lyon won 3-0 for their first home victory of the season. And yeah. Server said, what is the SD streaming schedule this week, next, and into early January? I'm glad you brought that up, since obviously today was supposed to be limited time only. Tomorrow's supposed to be collection time only, but I think we might have to reschedule that for a second time. And to be honest, I have considered doing an off topic every day for the rest of the year and just have that be it. Although there is the game week previews tomorrow. So game week previews and off topics. People were very excited about PSU Fan 2's teen drama and teen rom-com opinions at the end of the strategy show yesterday. And so I might have him on and we'll do that. And yeah, I think I might do that. I'm not sure. It feels like this time of year is a little weird for a bunch of people. And why not just make it all off topic? Mike said, when pineapple cutting? Oh, we do have to do that. Oh, there'll be Sorare Andrews. That's basically basically off topic, but Blue Tomato said there has to be a Christmas and a New Year's Eve stream. I can assure you there will not be a Christmas stream. He wants a drunk cast. I feel like Sorare After Dark has kind of taken over the drunk cast market, but we'll see. Maybe I'll try to get myself on that. Brose Canseco, I had my first podium ever this weekend in Champ America Limited and posted my highest ever score of 482 for 6th in U23. Wow. The satisfaction of podium and a great score meant more to me than the rewards. That is awesome. Congratulations on that. 482. Jeez. 12 days of Lairdness. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, if you guys want anything else, I can do that. But like, I don't know. It just felt like this time of year, people are kind of working, and Sorare is kind of weird now. There are not that many games, and I don't know. I was looking at my lineup builder. I'm like, oh, there's nothing really interesting going on. And I don't want to do a strategy show of like how to get through the holiday period, because that sounds like more of a mental health question than anything else. But I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll do can you tell that I really am kind of up in the air about all of it? But obviously there will be no strategy show next Monday. That is Christmas Day. We'll be taking that off. And I am going to take some time off next week. So there's that. Malky, I didn't say that the Scottish Premiership was not interesting. There's just not enough leagues and games going on. Like, it's one thing if we're like, oh, there's so many games. How do you prioritize this? And here's how you do. And like, that's just not going on right now. Kind of a nice way to do that. Rigamon said less games equals more time to watch Sorare data. Now we're talking. But yeah, I'm going to do that. And if there are any people that you guys think I should have on to talk to, I'd be happy to do that. I kind of feel like I should do that through the end of the year. I realize it's only the 19th, at least while I'm taping this. So yeah, if there's anyone on, like, reach out to me on Twitter. I have my handle down there. There we go. At Andrew M. Laird, or you can find me on Discord, any of that. I'm just going to do some random things with my gallery. I'm going to do something probably really detrimental in the coming days. So I can talk about that as well. But yeah, so yeah, I'll cut off there. Thanks for everyone. Thank you everyone for coming. I still don't really know how I feel about all of this, but I appreciate you guys allowing me to talk through that, because I still don't really know how I feel. But it does seem like we need to figure that out, of what's going on with Sorare. So yeah, thank you everybody. If you could please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to Quinny, who I believe was first in, if I remember way back when. And yeah, I'll be back tomorrow for the game week preview. That'll be at 9 o'clock in the morning for me, 2 o'clock in the UK, 3 o'clock in the rest of Europe. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.